Good morning. I think we got it all figured out. I was trying to figure out what in the world we have to read today, and I did not turn the light on. And we're jumping whoa. We're jumping all over the place. So I just wanted to make sure that I knew exactly where we were supposed to be. So I think that we're going to be starting in Psalms today. We're going to be reading part of Psalms 19, but Psalms 119 is like the longest Psalms that exists. So we're only going to read part of that, and then we're going to jump back over. So, good morning, Jack. I have Psalm 119 already, and we are going to throw the toy for the dog and go ahead and do that. He's very excited about it. Okay. Happy are people of integrity who follow the law of the Lord. Happy are those who obey his decrees and search for him with all their hearts. They do not compromise with evil, and they walk only in his path. You've charged us to keep your commandments carefully. Oh, that my actions would constantly reflect your principles. Then I will not be disgraced when I compare my life with your commands. When I learn your righteous laws, I will thank you by living as I should, and I will obey your principles. Please don't give up on me. How can a young person stay pure? By obeying your word and following its rules. I've tried my best to find you. Don't let me wander from your commands. I've hidden your word in my heart that I might not sin against you. Blessed are you, O Lord. Teach me your principles. I've recited aloud all the laws that you've given us, and I've rejoiced in your decrees as much as in riches. I will study your commandments and reflect on your ways. I will delight in your principles and not forget your word. Be good to your servant, that I may live and obey your word. Open my eyes to see the wonderful truths in your law. I am but a foreigner here on earth, and I need the guidance of your commands. Don't hide them from me. I am overwhelmed continually with a desire for your laws. You rebuke those cursed, proud ones who wander from your commands. Don't let them scorn and insult me, for I have obeyed your decrees. Even princes sit and speak against me, but I will meditate on your principles. Your decrees please me, and they give me wise advice. I lie in the dust, completely discouraged. Revive me by your word. I told you my plans, and you answered. Now teach me your principles. Help me understand the meaning of your commandments, and I will meditate on your wonderful miracles. I weep with grief. Encourage me by your word. Keep me from lying to myself. Give me the privilege of knowing your law. I have chosen to be faithful. I have determined to live by your laws, and I cling to your decrees, Lord. Don't let me be put to shame. If you will help me, I will run to follow your commands. Teach me, O Lord, to follow every one of your principles. Give me understanding as I will obey your law. I will put into practice with all my heart. Let me walk along the path of your commands, for that is where my happiness is found. Give me an eagerness for your decree, and do not inflict me with a love for money. Turn my eyes from worthless things and give me a life through your word. Reassure me of your promise, which is for those who honor you, and help me abandon my shameful ways. Your laws are all I want in life. I long to obey your commandments and renew my life with your goodness. Lord, give me your unfailing love, the salvation that you promised me. Then I will have an answer for those who taunt me, and I will trust in your word. I will keep on obeying your law forever and ever. Do not snatch your word of truth from me, for my only hope is in your law. I will walk in freedom, for I have devoted myself to your commandments. I will speak to kings about your decrees, and I will not be ashamed. How I will delight in your commands, how I will love them. I will honor and love your commands and meditate on your principles. Remember your promise to me, for it is my only hope. Your promise revives me as it comforts all my troubles. The proud hold me in utter contempt, but I will not turn away from your law. I meditate on your age-old laws, O Lord, and they comfort me. I am furious with the wicked who reject your law. Your principles have been the music of my life. I like that. Throughout the years of my pilgrimage, I reflect at night on who you are, O Lord, and I obey your laws because of this. This is my happy way of life, obeying your commandments. Lord, you are mine, and I promise to obey your words. With all of my heart, I want your blessings. Be merciful just as you promised. I pondered the direction of my life, and I turned to follow your statutes, and I will hurry, without lingering, to obey your commands. Evil people try to drag me into sin, but I am firmly anchored in your law, and at midnight I rise to thank you for your just laws. Anyone who fears you is my friend, anyone who obeys your commandments. O Lord, the earth is full of your unfailing love. Teach me your principles. You've done many good things for me, Lord, just as you promised. I believe in your commands. Now teach me good judgment and knowledge. I used to wander off until you disciplined me, and now I closely follow your word. You are good and do only good. Teach me your principles. Arrogant people have made up lies about me. But in truth, I delight and I obey in your commands with all my heart. Their hearts are dull and stupid, but I delight in your law. The suffering you sent was good for me, for it taught me to pay attention to your principles. Your law is more valuable to me than millions in gold and silver. You made me and you created me. Now give me a sense to follow your commands. May all who fear you find in me a cause for joy, for I have put my hope in your word. I know, O Lord, that your decisions are fair, and you discipline me because I needed it. Now let your unfailing love comfort me, just as you promised me, your servant. Surround me with your tender mercy so that I may live, for your law is my delight. Bring disgrace upon the arrogant people who lied about me. Meanwhile, I will concentrate on your commandments. Let me be reconciled with all who fear you and know your decrees. May I be blameless in keeping your principles. Then I will have never been ashamed. I faint with longing for your salvation, and I have put my hope in your word. My eyes are straining to see your promises come true. When will you comfort me? I am shriveled like a wineskin in the smoke, exhausted with waiting. But I cling to your principles and obey them. How long must I wait? When will you punish those who persecute me? The arrogant people who hate your law have dug deep pits for me to fall into. All of your commands are trustworthy. Protect me from those who hunt me down without cause. They are almost finished me off, but I refuse to abandon your commandments. In your unfailing love, spare my life, and then I can continue to obey your decrees. That was a lot for Psalms 119. That was 1 through 88. That was a lot. Okay, so now we're going to jump back for a second to 1 Kings. Remember we were reading in there before. That's where Solomon was just crowned king. And we're going to read chapters 3 and 4. So if you're following along, 1 Kings 3 and 4 is where we're going. Okay, hold on, Jack. Solomon made an alliance with Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, and married one of his daughters. He brought her to live in the city of David until he could finish building his palace and the temple of the Lord and the wall around the city. At that time, the people of Israel sacrificed their offerings at local altars, for a temple honoring the name of the Lord had not yet been built. Solomon loved the Lord and followed all the instructions of his father David, except that Solomon too offered sacrifices and burned incense at the local altars. The most important of these altars was at Gibeon, so the king went there and sacrificed 1,000 burnt offerings. That night the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream, and God said, "What do you want? Ask and I will give it to you." Solomon replied, "You were faithfully and wonderfully kind to my father David, because he was honest and true and faithful to you. And you've continued this great kindness to him today by giving him a son to succeed him. O Lord my God, now you have made me king instead of my father David, but I am like a little child who doesn't know his way around. And here I am among your chosen people, a nation so great and so numerous to count. Give me an understanding mind so that I might govern your people well and know the difference between right and wrong. For who is able himself to govern this great nation of yours?" The Lord was pleased with Solomon's reply and was glad that he'd asked for wisdom. So God replied, "Because you've asked for wisdom in governing my people and not asked for a long life or riches for yourself or the death of your enemies, because you didn't try to kill someone else, I will give you what you asked for. I will give you a wise and understanding mind such that no one has ever had or will have. And I will also give you what you did not ask for, riches and honor. No other king in the world will be compared to you for the rest of your life. And if you follow me and obey my commands as your father David did, I will give you a long life." Then Solomon woke up and realized it had been a dream. He returned to Jerusalem and stood before the ark of the Lord's covenant, where he sacrificed burnt offerings and peace offerings. And then he invited all of his friends to a great banquet. I like this guy. Sometime later, 2 prostitutes came to the king to have an argument settled. Oh, this is getting interesting. "Please, my lord," one of them began, "this woman and I live in the same house. I gave birth to a baby while she was with me in the house. 3 days later, she also had a baby. We were alone. There were only 2 of us in this house. But her baby died in the night when she rolled over on it. Then she got up in the night and took my son from beside me while I was asleep. She laid her dead child in my arms and took mine to sleep beside her. And in the morning, when I tried to nurse my son, he was dead. But when I looked more closely in the morning light, I saw that it wasn't my son at all." Then the other woman interrupted, "It certainly was your son, and the living child is mine." "No," the first woman said, "the dead one is yours, and the living one is mine." And they argued back and forth before the king. Then the king said, "Let's get the facts straight. Both of you claim the living child is yours, and each says that the dead child belongs to the other. All right, bring me a sword." So a sword was brought to the king, and then he said, "Cut the living child in 2 and give half to each of these women." The woman who really was the mother of the living child, who loved him very much, cried out, "Oh no, my lord, give her the child. Please do not kill him." And the other woman said, "All right, he'll be neither yours nor mine. Divide him between us." Then the king said, "Do not kill him. Give the baby to the woman who wants him to live, for she is his mother." Word of the king's decision spread quickly throughout all of Israel, and the people were awed as they realized the great wisdom that God had given him to render decisions with justice. Okay, there are a bunch of you listening to this right now. I would love some feedback on that. Because I'm not sure what woman who has ever had a baby would say, sure, divide him between us. Ever. Like, I'm sorry, it doesn't matter if he's your kid or not. You're not going to say, sure, go ahead and cut him up. I'll take half of a baby. Either way, the baby will still be dead. That is not what a mother would do, and nobody wants half a baby. So I'm glad that God gave Solomon wisdom, but I feel like they could have used a different example, because to me that does not seem like he was incredibly wise. That seems like that's a terrible example. And what woman would be okay with the baby being cut in half? That's not a good way to figure out if it's his mom, in my opinion. So anybody have an opinion on that besides me? Because I really, really, really wanted Solomon to be the wisest, and that was not a good example. Jack. Thank you. It's the light. All right. So we're going to read chapter 1 Kings 4, if Jack doesn't pull me off the chair, while we're waiting for you guys to see if you have any response to that. Cut the baby in half. So Solomon was king over all of Israel, and these were his high officials. Azariah, son of Zadok, was the priest. Elorephath and Ahiah, sons of Shisha, were court secretaries. Josaphat, son of Ahiliad, was the historian. Benaniah, son of Jehoiada, the commander of the army. Zadok and Abiathar, the priests. Azariah, son of Nathan, presided over the district governors. Zabud, son of Nathan, was a trusted advisor. Ahishar was the manager of the palace affairs. Adoniram, the son of Abda, was in charge of the labor force. Solomon also had 12 district governors who were all over Israel, and they were responsible for providing food for the people for the king's household. Each of them arranged provisions for 1 month of the year. That's an awesome job. Each of them worked for a month. There were 12 of them. So for 1 month of the year, you had to work. It was your job. Anyway, here are the names of the 12 governors. Ben-Hur in the hill country of Ephraim, Ben-Decker in Makaz, Shalbim, Beth-Shemesh, and Elon, Beth-Hanan, Ben-Hesed in Aruboth, including Sukkah in the land of Hefer, Ben-Abinadab of Naphoth Dor, married to Tapheth, one of Solomon's daughters, Bana, son of Ahilud, in Tanach and Megiddo, all of Bethshan near Zatharan below Jezreel, and the territory from Bethshan to Abel, Mehaloah, and over to Jacmin. I'm so sorry, guys. I am not pronouncing these things very well. Ben-Geber in Ramoth Gilead, including the towns of Jer, in Gilead and the Agrab region of Bashan, including 60 great fortified cities with gates barred of bronze. Abinadab, son of Idho in Mahanaim. There's a town called Mahanaim here, so I think I totally said that wrong. Ahimaaz in Naphtali. Bana, son of Hushai and Asher. Josaphat, son of Parush, Shema, son of Elah, and Heber, son of Uri, in the land of Gilead. And there was one governor over the land of Judah. The people of Judah and Israel were as numerous as the sand on the seashore. They were very contented with plenty to eat and drink, and King Solomon ruled all of the kingdoms from the Euphrates River to the land of the Philistines, as far south as the border of Egypt. The conquered people of those lands sent tribute money to Solomon and continued to serve him throughout his lifetime. The daily food requirements for Solomon's palace, this should be interesting, were 150 bushels of flour and 300 bushels of meal, 10 oxen from the fattening pens, 20 pasture-fed cattle, 100 sheep or goats, as well as deer, gazelle, roebucks, and fowl. That's daily. Daily, they're using 150 bushels of flour and 300 of meal, 10 ox, 20 cows, 100 sheep, plus, every single day. That's crazy. Solomon's dominion extended over the kingdoms west of the Euphrates River from Tipsha to Gaza, and there was peace throughout the entire land. Through the lifetime of Solomon, all of Judah and Israel lived in peace and safety, and from Dan to Beersheba, each family had its own home and garden. Solomon had 4,000 stalls for his chariot horses and 12,000 horses. The district governors provide... Jack is turning me because his toy's under my chair. Songs. He could speak with authority about all kinds of plants, from the great cedar of Lebanon to the tiny hyssop that grows from a crack in the wall. And he could also speak about animals, birds, reptiles, and fish. Kings from every nation sent their ambassadors to listen to the wisdom of Solomon, unless he's talking about cutting a baby in half. Then, not so much. All right, so 2 Chronicles 1 is where we're going now. Okay. God blessed him with wisdom, so the wisdom of God, and knew the outcome. All right. That's interesting. I like it. I think it's a good example because it's metaphoric to the fact that, I'm not sure if there was more to that comment. Metaphoric to the fact that what? Okay, so you're saying that he was wise, which means he knew what they were going to do, and he knew that no lady was going to cut her baby in half anyway, but that was the thing that he chose. Maybe at the time it was different, but I mean, I just can't imagine that if you said that nowadays, somebody would actually respond that way, because sure, cut him in half, we'll divide him. Really? Unless you're some sort of serial killer, no one's going to be dividing babies. All right. For 2 Chronicles 1, that's what we're doing. I'm getting all distracted. Yes, God wanted him to judge with that wisdom, but odd example. All right, so 2 Chronicles 1. Solomon, the king of David, now took firm control of the kingdom, for the Lord his God was with him and made him very powerful. He called together all of Israel, the generals and captains of the army, the judges, and all the political and clan leaders. Then Solomon led the entire assembly to the hill at Gibeon, where God's tabernacle was located. This was the tabernacle that Moses, the Lord's servant, had constructed in the wilderness. David had already moved the Ark of God from Kiriath Jearim to the special tent he prepared for it in Jerusalem. But the bronze altar made by Bezalel, son of Uri and grandson of Hur, was still at Gibeon in front of the tabernacle of the Lord. So Solomon and the people gathered in front of it to consult the Lord. There in front of the tabernacle, Solomon went up to the bronze altar in the Lord's presence and sacrificed 1,000 burnt offerings on it. That night God appeared to Solomon in a dream and said, "What do you want? Ask, and I will give it to you." Solomon replied to God, "You've been so faithful and kind to my father David, and now you've made me a king in his place. Now, Lord God, please keep your promise to David my father, for you've made me king over people as numerous as the dust of the earth. Give me wisdom and knowledge to rule them properly, for who is able to govern this great nation of yours?" God said to Solomon, "Because your greatest desire is to help your people and didn't ask for personal wealth and honor or the death of your enemies or a long life, but rather you asked for wisdom and knowledge to properly govern my people, I will certainly give you the wisdom and knowledge you requested. And I will also give you riches, wealth, and honor so that no other king has ever before you or will ever have again." Then Solomon returned to Jerusalem from the tabernacle at the hill of Gibeon, and he reigned over Israel. Solomon built up a huge military force, which included 1,400 chariots and 12,000 horses. He stationed many of them in the chariot cities and some near him in Jerusalem. During Solomon's reign, silver and gold were as plentiful in Jerusalem as stones, and valuable cedar wood was as common as the sycamore wood that grows in the foothills of Judah. Solomon's horses were imported from Egypt and from Cilicia, and the king's traders acquired them from Cilicia at the standard price. At that time, Egyptian chariots delivered to Jerusalem could be purchased for 600 pieces of silver and horses for 150. Many of these were then resold to the kings of the Hittites and the kings of Aram. Okay, we're only supposed to read 2 Chronicles 1, so we're done in 2 Chronicles. Hold on. Jack's could not reach to see his toy. It was underneath my chair. Okay, the last thing we're going to read today is Psalm 72. So in case you guys are just joining me and you have not been here with us reading the Bible before, we're reading it in chronological order, which is why it sounded like we just read the same exact thing over again, because we kind of did. So we went and read what they were talking about in 1 Kings, and then we went to 2 Chronicles and read both of them because they happened at the same time. So instead of reading it through from beginning to end, we're reading it through how it actually happened, and that's why they sound so similar, because there were different accounts of the same thing. Cilicia. Maybe I'm saying that right. Cilicia. He knew the real mother would turn the baby over just to save it, no matter what the others said. True, that is true. I think that's what I'm struggling with, is that the other lady was a mother too. If you've had a baby, how could you be okay with dividing one? At the same time, she was okay with stealing that lady's baby, so maybe she just wasn't a good person. Maybe I'm operating under the baseline that the second woman was a good person, and she's not, clearly, because she stole a baby in the middle of the night. But I think that was my issue, was I have children. I wouldn't want anyone's kids cut in half because I wouldn't want mine, so I wouldn't want yours, or just in general, in general, that's bad. Yeah. Anyway, okay, Psalm 72. That is the last thing that we're reading for today. In case you want to join us, that's where we have turned to, Psalm 72. And this one is actually Solomon talking, since he wrote 1,000 songs. Give justice to the king, O God, and righteousness to the king's son. Help him judge your people in the right way. Let the poor always be treated fairly. May the mountains yield prosperity for all, and may the hills be fruitful, because the king does what is right. Help him to defend the poor, to rescue the children of the needy, and to crush their oppressors. May he live as long as the sun shines, as long as the moon continues in the sky, yes, forever. May his reign be as refreshing as the springtime rains, like the showers that water the earth. May all the godly flourish during his reign, and may there be abundant prosperity until the end of time. May he reign from sea to sea, and from the Euphrates River to the ends of the earth. Desert nomads will bow before him, and his enemies will fall before him in the dust. The western kings of Teresh and the islands will bring him tribute. The eastern kings of Sheba and Seba will bring him gifts. All kings will bow before him, and all nations will serve him. He will rescue the poor when they cry to him. He will help the oppressed when they have no one to defend him. He feels pity for the weak and needy, and he will rescue them. He will save them from oppression and from violence, for their lives are precious to him. Long live the king. May the gold of Sheba be given to him, and may the people always pray for him and bless him all day long. May there be abundant crops throughout the land, flourishing even on the mountaintops. May the fruit trees flourish as they do in Lebanon, sprouting up like grass in a field. May the king's name endure forever. May it continue as long as the sun shines. May all nations be blessed through him and bring him praise. Bless the Lord God, the God of Israel, who alone does such wonderful things. Bless his glorious name forever, and let the whole earth be filled with his glory. Amen and amen. And it says, this ends the prayers of David, son of Jesse. I'm not sure what that means. Okay, hold on. So this is a psalm of Solomon. It just says, it doesn't say Solomon wrote it. It says a psalm of Solomon. So I really hope that Solomon didn't write it, because it says the whole thing is like, long live the king. The king's so great. Long live the king. I hope he's not writing this. Otherwise, he's like, long live me. Long live me. I asked for wisdom, now long live me, which would be kind of weird. So I think it's just a psalm about Solomon, just to clarify, because I said it was written by him. I don't think it was. Okay, so that is all for today, guys. That was day 151. So we are getting there. We are almost halfway. Congratulations. Thank you for being here with me today. That's all that we have for today, but we are going to be back because we still have whatever 365 minus 151 is, like 215. I don't know, something like that. All right, so I hope that you guys have a fantastic day. One more comment. She stole it, she lied, and was full of jealousy and wanted to murder it. There was a lot of evil going on there. Yeah, that's for sure. Talking about the woman that took another lady's baby when hers had died in the night. Stealing, jealousy, murder. Yeah, that's a lot of evil going on there. I'm going to go with she was so grieved that she was out of her mind. Maybe. Because especially if, you know, I cannot imagine losing a child. Maybe she was just so grief-stricken that she couldn't function. We're going to go with that. All right, I hope that you guys have a fantastic day. Thank you for being here with me. It is always way more fun to read with other people and to have you engage when I have no idea what's going on. So thank you. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye.